Hey everybody, this is April Chapman and I am joined with my good friend Jason Waller. And this is an impromptu discussion we just decided to have as Christian brothers and sisters and just friends. We kind of just wanted to discuss some things that have really been weighing on us very heavily. And it stemmed from a conversation we had earlier this week in light of all of the social unrest and the riots. And, as everybody knows, as of this recording, the latest, person of color that was shot by the police kind of sparked a lot of emotions, which is natural. And in the course of our discussion, we just realized, we saw so many of our friends and families just kind of jumping on a narrative and just taking it somewhere without knowing all of the facts, not really waiting and using discernment and category distinctions. Like none of those things really happened. We just saw a lot of emotional manipulation and the pushing of a certain narrative, and it just caused me to kind of just want to talk about it. As I always say, people who follow me on social media already know I really don't have a filter outside of filtering my worldview through God's written word. But I am a very, very sharp communicator. I shoot it straight from the hip. I really don't hold back much. And I do that because that's just my personality. Just how you have different parenting styles. Like I'm just the type of parent. I'm really not like the warm and fuzzy, rub your back kind of person. I'm just like, hey, this is what it is. And it comes from a place of love and compassion and care and concern. So with that said, it is quite possible that I might say some things that are going to make you uncomfortable or might downright make you angry. And I'm okay with that. I just need you to be okay with that because I need you to understand that truth and conviction does not always feel good, but it is for your own good. So I'm getting that out the way because I already know I do tend to come across a little bit sharp, and everybody's palate can't really handle my communication style. And I'm sorry, it's just kind of how I am. So with that said, Jason and I were discussing this latest social unrest, and I struggled with wanting to just throw my hat in the ring and be like, deuces, I'm about to be out here on my hustle game, making my money, raising my kids, loving my man, and making my money. And I was just like, I'm done. And in the course of that conversation, we realized that it's kind of hard for us to walk away because we really do care about people and we want to see people yearn and love the truth. But
Absolutely.
it's hard to do that when narratives are being pushed. So I'm gonna let Jason take it over and tell me I want you to repeat to me what you said when we were talking and you said, I don't like to be lied to. And then you said something really profound after that. Go
That's
ahead.
right. So for me, I always say I don't like to be lied to. And I don't like when a narrative is pushed. And then later I find out that what you told me at the beginning is not how it really is. Because after I see a pattern of that, that lets me know that this is not just mistakes anymore. Now, to me, I can see this as an actual, you are using me now. I can see now that this is actually something real. This is something premeditated. This is something intentional. You're intentionally providing a narrative in order to deceive, in order to get a rise, in order to further some other agenda. And when I see that and I see a pattern of that, that makes me very suspicious. Now, look, a lot of people are okay with being lied to. They're
Mm-hmm.
okay with it. I'm saying I'm not. And I'm saying uh, you may be okay, but don't expect me to react like other people who are okay with being lied to, right? But at the same time, I would like to tell people you are being lied to because sometimes people don't know that they're being lied to. You know what I mean? And a lot of times you're dealing with when you're dealing with people from uh, different ideological viewpoints, you process information differently. You know what I mean? And it's not necessarily always political, but sometimes the political comes in to play, right? Because, and this is one thing I notice, see, and I tell people like this all the time on my podcast and everything like that, that when the media is 90% plus left leaning, right? Most conservatives know that. And so everybody you talk to who's not a conservative, they'll be like, oh, y'all just watch Fox News every day. That's not actually what happens. The older people may watch Fox News all the time, but those in our age bracket and below and younger, what we do is we already don't trust the media. And when we don't trust the media, when CNN says, boom, this is going on, we say, let me see. Right. And that's because, and that's just straight off the cuff because conservatives don't trust left-leaning media. Now, look, it could be true.
Could be.
However, we are going to test it first. Now, if you're not thinking like that, CNN says, boom, and you just say, you know what? You immediately run with it. You see what I'm saying? And one of the things is the where we are now, right? COVID, people are over it. You've been locked in your house for so long. Everybody is dealing with all kinds of stuff. You see all day long negativity coming through you. I was talking to my wife just today because Chadwick Boseman died. We got all this other kind of stuff that happened. And it was like, I was like, you know what? In 2020, you have to actively fight to keep your peace.
You do.
If you just sit there in front of a TV locked in your house all day long, you will be depressed. You're going to be angry. Because it's so much stimuli. It's so much negativity coming to you. It's so much to be fearful of. It's so much to be depressed about. It's so much to be angry about. And it's just coming. So I am purposely filtering things because one, I need to keep my own peace. I got to keep my peace. And then but because I'm actively filtering, I'm also catching when people are actually trying to feed me next stuff that ain't even right. And so for me, I'm like, I'm over it. I'm over the lies. I'm over these narratives that they're putting out. And I just want to say and tell people, yo, they lying to us.
Well, that's one purpose of this live is because you and I share a lot of the same care and concern and passion about a number of things. And you already know I have no problem just flat out be like, they lying to you, right? Like I'll just come out and say it. And sometimes I will admit I have a difficult time like looking people like, you really believe what you just said? Like, you wholeheartedly believe that? And I'm struggling to be like, how? Like, how? Like, these are well-meaning, educated individuals who go to work every day, and they have really bought into the narrative of, for example, that Black people are just being shot down, hunted, and killed in cold blood for no reason at all. Like, I have talked to several brothers, and that's the part that pains me the most. These are my Black brothers, my Black men. Some of them are fathers, some of them are husbands, some of them are just, single, successful men. And they looked me in the eye, and I said, so you're telling me that Black men are actively and perpetually being hunted down and shot dead in the streets for no reason. And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, that's amazing. It's just amazing because I'm like, well, how are you still here? Like, how are you avoiding this perpetual, systemic, active slaughtering of just innocent Black men? I call them the didn't do nothings. Like, how are you avoiding that? And they're like, well, I mean, I'm avoiding it, but, that's just me. And what I'm trying to do is push and ask questions to get them to realize they haven't really thought through what they're saying. What they're doing is they're regurgitating and repeating what they see on the news. Because I'm like, bruh, you own a home, you driving a nice whip, you don't look afraid for your life or threatened in the least. Like, you don't have a threatening bone in your body, but you feel this. And I'm
You know what it is? Let me tell you, it's because there's two things that's actually going against, there's two actual things that's happening that has been merged, right? And the media loves to merge related concepts, but different concepts. And see, they do this so sly. That's why I say you have to pay attention to the lies.
So basically, I have to cut you off. What you're saying, and to make sure we're clear, they are failing to make the proper category distinctions.
Exactly. So let me give you an example, right? That's unrelated to this. Back when Trump was out there talking about illegal immigrants and we not down with illegal immigrants. What the media did was lumped. See, when a lot of people don't know this, there's actually about 3 categories of things you got going on, right? You got illegal immigrants, you got legal immigrants, you got refugees. Okay, these are 3 separate categories of things. Refugees are, people who are fleeing for certain reasons for a certain country. They're under a certain kind of persecution, all that other kind of stuff. You got immigrants that go through the actual process and get naturalized to become legal citizens. You have illegal immigrants who either just cross the line, right, sneak into the country, or they were given a certain amount of time to be here on some kind of green card or whatever, and then they overstayed, right? What the media did was merged all of those together and say he's anti-immigrant.
Immigrants.
Right?
And that's all we heard.
And that's all we heard. And no matter how much he said, illegal, 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 illegal. No matter how much people said illegal, 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 everybody kept saying immigrant, 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 immigrant. Right? So this is one way. This is what I'm talking about, how I don't like being lied to. Right? And so I pay attention to these things. So let me tell you, there are a couple, when it comes to Black men and the police, there's actually 2 different things going on, and studies show this. Studies show that Black men especially are more likely to be abused by cops. Now this means like you got the black boys on the corner or whatever like that, and they want to rough you up a little bit or whatever, and they are more likely to maybe pull the baton out or something like that, right? Now, people can wonder why they are quick to do that more or whatever, right? But that is one thing. The second thing is killing, right? Now, what happens is those 2 things get merged. So a Black man like myself who has a history what happens is when we see these things going on, a Black man like myself will remember a time when I was just minding my business and a cop talked to me dirty, told me to get out the car, threw me on the thing, was quick to pull their gun out on me. And I'm like, what are you doing? Right? And I merged that with the actual numbers of people getting killed.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So there's two different things going on. So I believe that cops might be in certain situations quicker to pull or, to get forceful with Black people. But I don't believe that the numbers show that they're actively hunting us down like dogs, as they would say.
Gotcha.
And here's the deal. When you also have a narrative that goes out that says, see, everybody talking about these stats, forget these stats. We want to talk about our lived experience or something like that, right? When they do that, now you have no metric.
Yeah.
So you can't prove or disprove something, right? You don't have no metric. Now, somebody like me, I think that's dangerous, right?
Very.
Let me tell you why I think it's dangerous, right? Because if somebody says, look, man, we want change. We need this to stop happening. We need this to, we need change to happen. We're tired of seeing this. Well, if you've ignored stats, how do you know if it ever changes?
I agree. I agree.
I show somebody, look, you had 38 unarmed Black men who died in 2015. You had 15 unarmed Black men who died last year, 2019.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of us saying, yo, it's actually going down, it's getting better. If you ignore the stats, how do you know? If one person dies and gets on TV, you will say, see, nothing changed. Nothing changed. Because we threw away metrics.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So in my mind, how are you measuring change? We want change. How do you measure that if you say, forget about stats, it's all about my feeling? So that's why it's dangerous when you're in that state, because then the media has full control over you. Mm-hmm. That means in 2021, let's say two unarmed Black people.
I was just about to say two.
Just two. One in Florida, one in Wisconsin, one in Washington State, right?
No, let's do one in South Dakota.
One in South Dakota, one in North Dakota, one in South Dakota, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's it. People will say it has not changed. Still,
they killing us.
They still killing us. Nothing has changed. It's just like the 60s. We were just like this when we were marching for Martin Luther King. Nothing has changed. Why? Because we've eliminated the metric to see if changes happen. Mm-hmm. And all it takes is the media to say, boom, another unarmed Black man that did this.
So let me ask you this, and maybe you can provide some insight, and maybe it's because of the way I was raised. Like my mom, I come from a law enforcement family. My mom worked for the Bronx DA's office. My dad was a bailiff. Like I was always raised with this, you don't commit crime. If you get arrested, don't call me. Like it was just always like I already knew once you get in that system, you don't want to be in the system, right?
Right.
So here's my question to you. Why do you believe that when these stories come out, why is it that our Black brethren never seem to ask? Because I know when I was little, if I heard a news story where it said, Tyrone Watts was shot and killed, by the police, my first reaction was, well, dang, what did Tyrone do, right? That's always my first question. Like, well, what did Tyrone do? Like, why were the police even there? Why do you think, like, our people never ask, well, why was the police called? Like, what happened? Why do you think we don't ask that question? We immediately jump to, see, there they go, killing us. We just terrified. We can't even live without being shot. Like, why? Why is that?
So that the reason why is because here is the narrative, and here's the thing that's everything is starting to change on how we see things, right? So before, even if you didn't like the cops, right, you would still be like, oh, that's the cop. It's still a respectable thing, right?
Yeah.
But now, if the cops are evil and the cops are a part of white supremacy, systemic racism, whom Black people are the victims of systemic racism, then what happens is we now, if I believe that this is a systemic racist issue, when I see a cop shoot somebody, the cop represents the systemic issue. The Black person automatically represents the victim. And so it will be the equivalent of saying, if I heard that Latasha got raped, I don't ever ask, well, what was Latasha wearing? Because that would be a form of what they call today victim shaming. And so if you say today, because we have been abused by systemic racism, and policing is part of systemic racism, if you say, well, what did Tyrone do? Basically, you're automatically victim shaming.
Okay.
So now you are looking through the lenses of white supremacy.
So
you're the problem because you got white supremacist glasses on. And so because Tyrone is Black, you automatically assume the Black person is wrong. How come it couldn't have been the cops that was wrong? I'm telling you, that's what we're dealing with today, right? So now I'm not here to say whether that's right or wrong, because you don't necessarily have to say, well, what did Tyrone do or what did the cop do? What you need to say is, let me hear the story.
What happened?
What happened?
Yeah.
If I say what did he do, I don't have to say what did he do. I don't have to say what did the cop do. What I need to say is, okay, Tyrone got shot. I need to see why and what happened. Now that's what we need to do instead of just saying Tyrone got shot. See, they killing us. Let's go burn something, or let's go march, right? Even if you're just saying we marching, we're not burning nothing. What if Tyrone was a serial killer? What if Tyrone actually was abusing children and the cops came? Now, on the flip side, what if Tyrone was just walking down the street minding his business and the cops thought he was Raheem, who's a serial killer, and they jumped out, and when Tyrone went and grabbed his cell phone, they said gun, and they shot him. We don't know is what I'm saying. And I don't care what happens. When something just happens, nobody knows. The popos get all the information. They have to put this in here. They have to talk to their boss. They have to sit down and investigate. All these other investigators come in. All this, what's going on. The media don't know none of that. All they know is it happened on this street corner and it looks like it was that person. We got a name and it looks like it's this person. We know it's a Black guy. We know the cops did it. We think that guy lived somewhere in this other neighborhood. That's all the media know. The media don't know everything right now. So if something happened at 5 o'clock on Sunday and a story comes out at 6 o'clock, you don't know nothing. You got to at least
8 o'clock, the town is burnt up.
The town is burnt up at 8 o'clock. And then me, who I'm sitting back saying, let me see what happens. Come to find out Tuesday, they were justified in doing it. Or maybe they weren't. And then I'll say, hey, I ain't trying to say burn it down, but I understand why you got your signs out.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So that's how it is. Plus, you got video now, right? Normally, people aren't just saying, "Oh, there's some cops over there. Let me record." What happens is a scuffle may happen or something like that. And they say, "Oh, look, the cops over there." Then they pull it out. Now you just missed the whole context. All you getting is after the fact. The scuffle did already started. Everything like this, and then somebody's like, "Yo, he ain't even do nothing." Right? So he on video like, "Yo, the cops is doing it and they ain't even do nothing, bruh. Yo, this is crazy." Now look, nope, I ain't saying the cat is lying, but what I'm saying is when enough times I've been lied to enough times, trust but yet verify.
So me and you are on the same page, but here's the part that I struggle with and why I'm at a point now where I feel like people just want to have hatred and anger in their heart. You know why? Because when time does pass and the truth does come out, these same people get presented with this information and then they still cling to the lie. Like Trayvon Martin, Breonna Taylor, Michael Brown, like all of these people, George Floyd, like the information comes out and they still keep perpetuating the lie. And it's like, no matter what you try to say, they like, "I can't hear you. I can't hear you. Na 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 boo boo." Like they won't even engage.
Well, here's the deal. I'm gonna be honest with you. Most people don't know. There's gonna be some people that know, but most people don't. There are some things you can talk to somebody right now about certain. I can go to somebody, random person, and be like, "Yo, what happened to Michael Brown?"
Yeah.
And they will say,
"The police just shot him for nothing.
He had his hands up in the air,
don't shoot,"
and said, "Don't shoot," and the cop shot him.
Yeah.
Now there's some who will not say that happened, right? And but there's a bunch of people that will still say that's what happened.
That's what happened.
Even though people gave witness testimony, not cops, black folk in the neighborhood, the hood gave the testimony, right? It was his friend when he got shot that said, "My boy just had his hands up and was like, 'Don't shoot,' and the cop just shot him." His best friend said that. But the other onlookers who was out there said that he was wrestling with the cop to try to get his gun, all of this other stuff. Obama came out, said all kinds of stuff. "Oh yeah, it's a shame racism still happens in here, blah, 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 blah." Got all people riled up and said, "I'm going to have my boys go down there and we going to investigate." Sent a black attorney general, Eric Holder, his whole group went down and investigated that shooting, came out with the same exact conclusion that the other one was. The cop got off rightly so, because that's what happened. So
that's the other narrative, though. The other narrative is we keep getting shot in the police and the cops keep getting off. And I'm sitting there like,
that's what I'm saying. So that happened. That was verified. But here's another reason why it's like that. And this is why I say I think it's more something nefarious is going on, right? Mm-hmm. When the hands up, don't shoot goes out, that is going out on the media, on the headlines. All the heads, your Cuomos, your Don Lemons, your Rachel Maddows, everybody is going to say this headline. The 2 days later, the week later, when you find out the investigations prove that that's not true, what the media does is they type it up and put it in print on their site. But you're not telling Don Lemon, Rachel Maddow, and all them to come on TV and say it. So if you say, "See CNN, y'all ain't tell nobody about," they can say, "Well, no, we have an article. We got an article on our page. If you look on our page, we put an article out that says," but they know daggone well they put the initial narrative, they got it headline, they got people talking about it, and they know in this day and age people want to see video, they want to hear the talking points, they want to hear people's opinions about it. And then when the truth comes out, you don't hear nothing.
Silence.
And so therefore I say that's a reason for that. They played you. They got the views that they needed. They got the hits that they needed. They got the revenue that they needed. They got the emotional that they needed. And they got the notoriety that they needed. They got all that viewership went up that they needed. And now that's past it's the news cycle is past that anymore. So we don't need to bring it back up again. You see what I'm saying? After we done burnt down the hood, after we done tore down somebody's spot, after more people got shot because they were so upset, and then they end up getting in tussles with the hood, and then the cops, you know, because the mayor say, don't touch them, cops, so then the cops back up, and then the criminals is like, oh, sweet, we got free reign in the city, and then the crime rate goes up, and now all of that one lie has a trickle effect on now all of this other foolishness going on. And I'm saying I'm tired of it. And you're not going to get me with it. And I just want other folk to be like, yo, we got to be more discerning in this time.
Yeah. So everything you just outlined and laid out, those are the consequences that we suffer when we follow a false narrative. But somehow, you know, I'm gonna bring this up, I just have to. Somehow, those consequences get blamed on the now sitting president, Donald J. Trump. Now, I'm struggling to understand how any of this is his fault, right? But you actually have Black people, white liberals, you know, you just have these days blaming all of the civil unrest that's going on right now on this current president. And I'm trying to see how any of this has anything to do with him. If anything, at some point, if I was a Black liberal, and I used to be one, for the record, I'd be like, well, how is this? I don't know, maybe it's just the way I think. I don't know. Or maybe when I was just blinded and dead in my sin and a flaming, raging liberal, I was unable to think. I don't know. Yeah, I said that. How? Like, at some point, we've got to be like, you know what? Let's be fair. Let's just be intellectually honest. How does he have anything to do with this when we know the media is run by the liberals, right? These narratives that have been spun that you and I just discussed are coming from the liberals. And then when the truth comes out and the truth needs to be made public, the liberals are not making it public. And so the lies just keep getting perpetuated. But this is somehow Trump's fault. Like, make that make sense for me.
Okay. So in order to make this make sense, you have to understand the differences between how liberals frame things and how conservatives frame things, right? So conservatives see humans as potentially evil, right? So because conservatives see humans as evil, potentially, not saying that we're like totally whatever, there's good people, we'll say, but we know the propensity of humans to be evil.
Yeah.
We don't trust humans. That's why we want less government, because if you trust in the government, we know you're going to get a corrupt human who's going to now have so much more power to exert over us.
That's why conservatives like the Constitution. Right. Because they know the heart of man is wicked and it needs to be checked. It needs to be regulated.
So for us, we like, in order to the best system that we can think of to mitigate that is to make sure every human has under this government has their rights,
Right.
full rights in place, right?
Mhm.
So what the liberals say is, no, humans are good. The problem is systems are bad. And if we can just destroy a system, then everything will be fine, right?
But aren't systems made up of people?
Well, no, not
Like, they're not
necessarily.
arbitrary.
It's not necessarily people, right? It's a system. That's why, let me give you an example. So when we talk about systemic racism, if you have a black cop who end up shooting a black guy, you will look at it and say, well, how's it racism? It's a black person, a black cop shot a black man. And they say, see, it's not because of the person was black. That black cop is a part of a system of white supremacy. So therefore, even though
so the cop is like, this.
The cop is like this. He is working in a system that's designed to tear us down, right? So it's really that, and this is why when conservatives and liberals talk, we're like, what? You don't see? Now both sides are saying the same thing. How can you not see this? And we're like, how can you not see it? And that's really what's going on. This is what you see. Now, what Democrats are really good at doing, the Democratic Party now, the Democratic Party is very good at their marketing, extremely good at their marketing, and they're also extremely good at deflection.
Ooh, I watched Kamala Harris do a lot of deflection the other day.
They're good at deflection and they're good at projection. So here's what we do. If policing is a system and it's designed to destroy the black man or to keep minorities under oppression, right? When a party or a person says we need to celebrate our police, what happens now is what they hear is you are now propping up a white supremacist system. So when you see Donald Trump always saying, I like the cops, I like the cops, I like the cops, then what you're doing is saying is Donald Trump is pushing forth white supremacy, the system. So therefore, vote for us, because if you vote for him, it's a vote toward empowering that system that's keeping you down. And so therefore, Donald Trump right now represents the system of white supremacy. So if Joe Biden wins, people are going to take that as we just dealt a blow to white supremacy. We just toppled a layer of the system that's keeping us down. So that's why they can say both of us and all this stuff is going on. So I know this is like, it's deep, but this. I
never heard nobody break it down. And now what you're saying, I can see what you're saying, right?
Right.
But I'm still struggling to understand when I think it through, that still doesn't make sense, because Biden, to me, represents all that white supremacy embodies. Why? Because his record, right, in the Senate, all of that, to me, I'm like, he's never done anything to demonstrate care or concern for people of color. I'm struggling. I guess.
All right, but look, right now, if black people are looking at what's on the table right now is how black people are treated by police. That is what we're dealing with right now. Which person has been more pro-police in their rhetoric than the other? It is clearly Trump. So if right now I got a problem with the police,
I got a problem with Trump.
I got a problem with Trump.
That still don't make sense for a logical,
You see what I'm saying?
thinking person. But you know what? I get it. If all I'm fed is liberal media and I'm fed a false narrative to begin with, okay, I can go with that, and I can see that.
Now here's the other thing. Here's the other thing. People already hated Trump, right? So before Biden became, right, already had, I'm voting for whoever versus Trump.
Got you.
So Biden, Harris, Bernie, none of that, Warren, none of that matters.
Any of them.
What some people say, I don't like Trump so much. I don't care who went. You know, there's people that you really want because you like. I really like this person. I really like his policies or whatever. But at the end of the day, it don't matter. It has no. It really doesn't matter because the idea is,
I hate Trump.
I hate Trump. And then when all this other stuff boils over, Trump goes from now, I just hate him, to now, he actually represents something that I hate even more than I hate him. I hate white supremacy more than I hate Trump. But now he actually represents, so now my hatred is on top of one another. Here's another thing. When you hate somebody or you don't like somebody, like say it was, think about a person, right? You can't stand them. If I came to you and say, yo, April, that person, let me tell you what they did, blah, 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 blah. You'll be more willing to believe what I said because you don't like them anyway.
Yeah.
So I can lie to somebody about Trump and say, yo, Trump just actually told this video went out that he said, black people's is niggas and niggas. He said that on, it's really out there. They took it down on Facebook when it come back, I'm going to show you. Guess what? People be like, Trump out here calling us, and nobody's going to say, he ain't say that because they already don't like him. So if I said anything that's against him, you're more willing to actually agree with it anyway. You see what I'm saying? So there's a whole lot of things that's going on with Trump. And, it really depends on, and honestly, it goes both ways, right? Because it's like, who are you representing? Trump right now is representing cops. We don't like cops, so therefore it's whatever. The Democrat side, right? When we see flames and fires going all over, guess what?
Oh, men in dresses.
If they don't say anything against all of that, the Republicans say, well, guess who they represent? They represent the fires. They represent the destruction. They represent all of this other stuff.
But they do. When do they ever say, we don't champion lawlessness? We're shutting this down. When do they say that?
Well, they don't.
Let the city burn down because it's a peaceful protest.
Right, but they don't. So that's what I'm saying. Both sides, that's how we put that your side represents this, our side represents this. So when Trump says I'm for law and
order,
what that translates is you're for keep them Negroes in place.
But how do you get from I'm for law and order to keep them niggas in their place? How do you get from there to there?
Law and order is a
don't say dog whistle.
That means keep them.
They just make stuff.
That's what I'm saying. I'm telling you, law
make
and order
America great
is
a dog whistle for let's bring.
That's right. That's what I'm
saying. I know that, juvenile.
I am telling you 1,000%. This is what people are hearing. So when you hear law and order, you're hearing there should be peace in the streets. Peace. Stop this, doing this. I want low crime. I want this. I want all of that. They hear you are telling Negroes, y'all better get where y'all supposed to be under our feet, under this system.
You know what? I am prone to believe that, and I'm going to tell you why. On one of my posts, a white woman made a comment to a black friend of mine, and she basically said, well, look, if you hate America so much, like, why are you still here, right? If America is just so bad, why don't you like go take a DNA test, find out where it is you actually come from, and just, you know, find a path to get there. And he took that as, so you telling me to go back where I came from? And I was like, well, I mean, yeah, but she wasn't saying it like, you know, nigga, go back to where you came from. It was a legitimate question. You hate this country. It's so bad. And it's just, it's the worst thing in the world. Why are you still here? Like, why don't you just go and get a boat and go on over there? Why are you still here? And so I hear what you're saying, but when are we going to elevate our thinking? And see, this is why I blame the public school system, because it's one thing that Johnny can't read, but Johnny can't even think no more. And I'm talking about these are people with degrees, advanced degrees, and life experience. They are unable to assess a situation on its own merit, make the proper category distinction, and just say, okay, well, based on that, this is what it looks like the outcome. This is what it looks like happened. It's like they're just unable to do that because they enjoy the lie. They enjoy the narrative. And I'm like, y'all don't really want things to get better. You just want to keep pushing the narrative, even though we've already dismantled that that's not what happened here.
Yeah, so it's a lot of things that are going on that, and so I'm gonna be honest, in this time that we're in now, you're gonna be even more prone to believe the narrative, right? Because,
Just because?
Well, listen, imagine you and your husband get into an argument.
Mm-hmm.
Now y'all got attitude. You got attitude with your husband.
Yes.
Every little thing he does is now just gonna set you off, right?
Why are you breathing?
Yeah, why you making all that noise? You know what I'm saying? Or, you know, your kids get on your nerves, you know what I mean? You better stop stomping. Did I hear you slam that door? Wash them dishes. Oh, you banging them pots? You know what I mean? Like, cause you it's like every little thing gets on your nerves. Well, think about it. As a society, we are so frustrated right now. It don't even matter. It don't matter right now. Anything, and this is dangerous because when you are in a state where you so upset with your husband, any little thing, you're not in a place where reconciliation or true real thinking can actually go down, because now you're fully in your emotions, right? So you're going to be irrational over every little thing. It's like he does that every single day, but you don't care about it because now you're in your feelings. Now something he does all the time is just irritating, right? And that's just how we are right now, where we are in 2020 as a society. Everything that happens, we're on the irrational, irritating side. And we're just going to keep adding it on to the growing list of grievances that we say we have in the country. So therefore, I'm more prone in my emotional state to believe every narrative that they push, which makes it dangerous. And like I said, all of this stuff, like, I mean, think about it. Back in the day, they told you, hey, you're starting to drive. Listen, the cops pull you over, make sure this happened, boom, 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 boom. Nobody cared. You said, okay. Now, why do we have to have the talk? Why is it just that Black people have to have this talk? Now it becomes this thing, right? I'm like, well, what's wrong with just saying, yo, if the law does something, do whatever? Again, that puts me back into now victim shaming. I'm now getting we now have to prepare our children to deal with the systemic racism that's about to happen to them in the form of the police now that they're able to drive. You see what I'm saying? So this is now the thought process that's going on. I think it's a good thing to tell your kids, yo, hands on the wheel. You know, when I started driving, my dad was like, look, he didn't sit me down like this is some big event. Right. The music is playing in the background. Listen, son, You know, we've been in this country for 400 years and
Yeah.
we had to deal with. Now he just was like, look, when the cops come, this is what's going to happen. They're going to pull you over. They take a few seconds because they be running your tags and stuff. Just get your license and registration out, put it up over here, have your hands on here. When he says something, you know, you just give him what he needs and then go on about your business. Don't get bad with him. Just do your thing. I'm like, all right, K-pop. To this day, I get pulled over. I don't care if I ran a stop sign or whatever. The cop is behind me. He's taking 3 or 4 seconds, looking at my license plate, making sure this car ain't stolen or whatever like that. When he comes to my window, I already have my license and registration and insurance. Here you go. I hand it to him, and then I say, now, officer, why you pull me over? Now, I could say, when he comes up and say license registration, I could be like, no, what you want? Why you pull me over? License and registration, please. No, why you pull me over?
It's about to get ugly.
You see what I'm saying? Now I could, you see what I'm saying? Now look, people will be like, see, you training yourself to obey white supremacy right now, right? That's what they, yes, that's what they're, so here's my thought on all of this, right? I always kind of give, you can see how I always give these examples doing it because I try to break it down so that people understand. If I walk up to you now, I know you be packing. So imagine you ain't packing. Imagine you ain't packing. Or let me say, use your husband as an example. Imagine your husband ain't packing. And I walk up to your husband and be like, man, you look like a punk. Give me your wallet.
Woo!
What's going to happen? Is he going to give me the wallet?
No.
He gonna be like, yo, if you want this wallet, you gonna have to take it. You gonna have to. We gonna have to tussle for it, right?
Yeah.
Now imagine he's not packing,
Mm-hmm.
and I come with a gun, and I say, give me your wallet. What do you think he gonna do?
Give you his wallet.
Why?
Because he ain't trying to die.
Okay. Now this is how simple that is, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I come up to him and be like, yo, give me your wallet, and I ain't got no gun out or nothing like that, he'd be a punk to give me the gun.
Yeah.
I mean, to give me the wallet, right?
Yeah.
When I come with a gun, he's thinking, is this wallet worth my life?
Mm-hmm.
That don't make sense. Now, look, I could still shoot him after he give me the wallet. But his mind is thinking, I'm going to make the best decision I can to get out of this situation right now.
Yeah.
When a cop comes to my door, he got a gun. Now, should I break bad with him and then risk getting blasted?
No, you shouldn't.
Or should I just say, here,
there you go.
Take the stuff and I'll deal with it on the back end, right? Mm-hmm. If I'm a robber, I got my gun out, you give me the thing, I run away, you survive, you call the wife up, yo, I just got robbed, call the police, calling your credit card company, the banks, shut everything down. You handle it on the back end. I'm dealing with a cop, he's a jerk. I'm going to give everything he can because I ain't trying to get shot. And guess what? After it's all over, I'm headed to the station. I'm going to put a report out. I'm going to deal with it on the back end, but I'm alive.
Yes.
It's not about bowing to white supremacy. It's like, yo, and here's the thing. I'm somebody that don't believe that cops is out there hunting me down. If you believe cops is hunting you down, why in the world would you put yourself at greater risk of getting shot?
Because they don't really believe that. They don't. They regurgitate that, but they don't really believe that. If they do, they're stupid, because if you really believe that, why would you respond with animosity, aggression, non-compliance? Like, why would you respond that way? But here's my take on it. People ain't gonna like this. Ask me if I care. I believe that the reason why these confrontations are ending the way they are is because if you are a Black man who was never told no by a Black man, as when you were a Black boy, when you were not given boundaries, when there were no standards or requirements set for you by a male, preferably father or authoritative figure, you just walking around with wrath. You're just wrathful by nature because you've never learned what it means to be personally restrained. You've never learned what it means to submit to those who are in authority over you. You've never even learned how to comfortably deal with being told no. Why? Because your mama raised you, gave you what you wanted. You were her little man till you was 38, and now you're 40, and you ain't raising your kids. I mean, I know this sounds like I'm being just like real harsh, but I mean, come on. Let's be real. Listen, single mom raised me, another female, and 2 males. It's 4 of us, 2 boys and 2 girls. Love my brothers to death, but one of my brothers, he's just a little bit too emotional for a man, in my opinion. We love him. He not telling this to his face, but I'm like, see, if you had a daddy, some of this stuff, if daddy was around, you wouldn't be acting like this. It is what it is. I can tell my mama, she was like, yeah, you know what I mean? I can't be a mom and a daddy. I could only be a mom. And I was like, Ma, you was great. You were a great mom, and we love you. But I'm like, that right there, that behavior, that's a daddy deficiency. Because testosterone, that male testosterone and that male figure in their life, boundaries, restraints, like all of those just different character traits that are developed in young boys, that happens when daddies are present. But people don't want to hear that, right? Because this is the decade of let's celebrate single mamahood, right? Yes, mamas do great raising children when they're put in situations when they don't have a choice. But it is not ideal. I was raised by a single mama, and I love my mama to life. But the daddy deficiencies I suffered were real. They were real. And I'm 41, and I'm just now realizing when I look back in my 20s at certain behavior, I'm like, that was a daddy deficiency. Because see, I look at my girls. And they're just certain things they don't do, certain ways that they don't even process situations because they have a dad. Like I heard one of my twins today say, we were, normally it's always the 2 of them together. But today I was like, I can't deal with both of y'all. Only one of y'all can go with me to the store. So I took Haley to the store. We were riding, and she's 8, and I was trying to be a warm and fuzzy mama, And so I was asking her, about, one day when she grows up and wants to get married and have kids. And first, it wasn't consciously, but I talked about having kids first before I talked about the husband. I wasn't trying to push a narrative. It just came out. And Haley goes, well, I do want kids, but the hard part, Mommy, is trying to find the right guy. She said, it's going to be hard to find somebody like Daddy. I wanted to just pull over right there and be like, dang, girl, like, that was good. Like, that's what she said. When I was 8, I wasn't thinking about trying to find a man like my dad. I was like, I have no point of reference to what you talk.
No
you mean
point
like
of reference.
Somebody who teach you how to like roll a little weed. I mean, those are things I learned from my dad, how to not mix, scotch with vodka and just all the wrong things.
All the wrong things.
Yes, right. But that's what she said. And I was like, that's good. I like that.
All of that matters. And here's the deal when it comes to the kids, parents should be the filter to protect the children or translate the narratives.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying? So right now, if you allow the children to get the narrative from school, the media, from school, from everything like that, then they fall into the same exact trap, even more so, right? And that's why you see what's leading a lot of this that's going on is all these younger people, right? Because they're just taking it and sucking all this food, all this nonsense in, and they're just translating it the best way that they can. And the best way that they can is let's tear it all down and let's do whatever, right? That's the best way that they can. I'm saying, you know, as parents, as leaders, as friends, you know, we should be to the people that we care about, we should be making sure that, yeah, we should be dealing with them rationally to be like, calm down, wait to see what's going on. You know what I'm saying? To see, is what is being said
what's really
really, is that the real reality? Is some of what they're saying true, but they're not properly categorizing? Is, you know, all of what they're saying true? Is some of this stuff just blatantly false? Like, all of this really, really, really needs to happen. You know what I mean? Because, and look, I understand, like today, again, we're talking about cops as the most, that's the battle today. Look, my first interaction with the police, right, was in 8th grade, right? Well, actually, I graduated 8th grade, right? So 8th grade graduation in my city, my little city, we always walked everywhere we wanted to go to, right? I walked to school all my life in K through 12, right? My well, until I started driving. We graduated 8th grade. A friend of ours had a birthday party. I mean, a graduation party at their house. We all walked there. It was a group of us, maybe 5 or 6 of us. We walked. It was over at night, maybe 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. We're walking back home. As we're walking back home, these police cars jumped the curb right in front of us, right in back of us. They get out and then on the street side. So about 3 or 4 cars coming up, right? So one car is in front of us to stop us from walking on the sidewalk. One is in the back, so we can't run. There's a like forest and trees on the side, so you can't like run up the side, right? And then there's like 2 cars blocking you on the street. Lights flashing, they get out, guns drawn. We like, yo, what in the world is going on? And they're like, yo, y'all those kids that robbed that store down there. We know what you did. We like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Right? And so we're sitting there like, oh my goodness, they got us. We're like this, hands up. Nobody's fussing with the cops. We young, right? We just, you know, you're talking about 13-year-olds, 13, about to be 14-year-olds, right? Hands on the car. We're like, oh my goodness, what's going on? You know, in my mind, I had my father in my house. So I'm sitting here like, my daddy gonna kill me. I don't know what I did, right? I was more afraid of my father than I was the police, right? So next thing you know, a police car pulls up, turns around. It was a black cop, female. She gets out and she knew one of my friends. And she was like, hey, what's going on here, to the cops? And they were like, yeah, these kids, they think these are the ones that robbed the store down the street, at the gas station, you know, store down the street. And she was like, oh, no. I know them. They're fine. They're good. I'm cool with their parents. There's not these type of kids. And, you know, blah, blah, blah. And she talked to them for a little while. And then they were like, all right, okay. And they let us go. Now, in that situation, I had 2 police officers. Two type. I mean, it wasn't that one was white and one was black. It was like, but I had police officers that we dealt with, right? And I could have allowed that to taint all police officers from there on. You see what I'm saying? But I didn't. Now here's the crazy part. A month after that happened, or 2 months after that happened, it was either a month or 2 after that happened, that cop that got, you know, helped us out, she was responding to a domestic violence call, went, knocked on the door. The man who was beating his wife opened the door, shotgun, boom, blasted her. She died.
No.
Yeah. So, so I'm like, that was a good cop. You see what I'm saying? And so I know that, and it's not necessarily saying that the other people all are just straight bad cops. I'm just saying I can't taint all cops in a certain kind of situation, but I also understand what they have to deal with all the time. They just knocking on the door. We got the phone call said 911, something going on. She responding like, hey, I wonder what's going on. Door open, no time to call, and it just boom. Right? So if cops deal with this all the time, that's another reason why I don't want to break bad with them initially, because now they don't know. Am I going to be that crazy one that's going to pull?
Mm-hmm.
Am I the one that's hiding something on me? And soon as they turn around for 3 seconds, they not going home today. You know what I'm saying? So,
yeah.
So part of loving your neighbor
is thinking, yeah,
is thinking about them as well as me, right? So I'm thinking about that whole situation. So for me to say I'm not going to fuss at the cop is part of me just being respectful to them and being respectful to me. You know what I'm saying? And so that also helps me filter a narrative. You know, and so, but I understand that's an experience I had. You know what I'm saying? I got locked up before for, you know, a half a day or whatever, got pulled in the, I could have used that. You know what I mean? Again, I had to say, they didn't pull the guns out on me, but they were standing there with their hands on the hip.
Yeah. I was in the back of a car, squad car before.
Right.
But it's for something stupid, but I mean.
Right. And then look, we can say I was upset. It was something dumb. It was whatever. Like I didn't actually do it. I had a warrant out for me because I didn't pay a speeding ticket.
Well, I was driving with no license, and I was like 20. I didn't even have a license. It wasn't on me. I was an unlicensed person operating a motor vehicle.
Right. But that's what I'm saying. You can take those experiences, right? And however you dealt with those experiences, depending on which police officer showed up that day, you can paint that all these cops, because now I see this happened to that cop, that happened to this happened to that person, that happened to that person. See, now I see what's going on.
They all the same.
It's all the same. So now when I hear the narrative, I'm more likely to believe it because of all this other stuff. And I'm saying I understand that, but we have to be careful, especially when there's a agenda out to play us.
Got you. So to wrap it up, because I know it's getting kind of long and I got some crab legs I'm about to go eat. One thing I wanted to say, I appreciate the balance you are bringing to this conversation. I really do appreciate that. I don't claim to know everything, and all of us have blind spots. Hearing you share that story about your experience with the police, and that outcome, I mean, that was very shocking to me, and the outcome could have been much, much worse. But I appreciate the balance that you bring to the discussion. Whereas y'all already know where I stand. I am a law and order kind of person. I'm like, listen, I'm not negotiating with criminals. You know what I'm saying? Like, you gonna live that thug life, you gonna die by the thug life. That's just where and that's because I'm from the hood. Like, I've lived in the hood where I've been terrorized by people selling crack to my people. I have no uncles alive right now. They all are dead from HIV, AIDS, or drug overdoses because of the crack cocaine epidemic. I've got one aunt left alive, barely made it. You know what I'm saying? The other aunt, drugs took her out. So I've seen the death and the destruction of that criminality, the addiction, like that whole life. Like, I don't want no parts of that life. So the last thing I'm going to do is champion but don't get me wrong, I temper that mindset with, I'm all about second chances. Why? Because I've been redeemed by the blood of the Lamb. I am a such were some of you. Like, I was jacked up, needing redemption. So I get second chances. What I struggle with is championing lawless criminal behavior. Not, well, that was him 20 years ago. Nah, that was him last week. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, I'm not going to do it. And I'm not going to apologize for it. No, I am not saying that, I mean, to be consistent, I can't say that if you just rape somebody, that you don't deserve to die. But I'm consistent in the sense that me, as an unredeemed sinner, deserve to die because I offended a righteous and holy God. So let's be consistent. Yes, we all deserve death, but many of us get grace and mercy. With that said, there is God's law. And as a Christian, I cannot be on the side of lawlessness and criminal behavior. I'm not going to do it. Okay. All the thug thizzles out there, listen, if that's the life you're choosing, the consequences are very grave for you. And you need to think about that. And don't expect me to be, team. I'm just not. I'm not gonna do that. I don't do that with my kids. Like, well, he just having a bad decade. No,
a bad decade, not a bad day, a bad decade.
A bad decade. No, the standard is the same. If my son decides he wants to embrace a life of criminal behavior where he's in and out of jail all the time, it is not. Proverbs is very clear, son. Don't walk that way with them. Proverbs 1 breaks it down. If you choose this life, this is what happens to you. You better either repent while you are still 6 feet above ground, or else you will end up dying as a result of the consequences of your bad choices. And I think we're wrapping it up, but that's the problem that I have. Too many of us in our own community, we make excuses and there's not enough accountability. People that love you want to hold you accountable. To me, I would be hating my brother if I made excuses for every time he screwed up. At some point, I'll be like, bruh, you make some real bad decisions, and you on your own with this one, because I'm not gonna support this any longer. But instead, we're just like, well, I mean, he needed those new shoes, so he just stole them.
Yeah, I mean, and like I said, that's being fed today. And we just have to understand, when we're dealing with people, you have to know what, and that's why it's good to pay attention to the media, right? Mm-hmm. As much as it may get on your nerves, it's good, because then you get to actually hear
what they're
hearing, the messaging that they're hearing. You can filter it out, but then you can say, now I understand what's going on. I mean, somebody just said the other day, look, looting stores is a form of reparations. Yes, go ahead and take your stuff, because that gives you something to eat. That allows you to be able to have some clothes. You know what I'm saying? That's a form of reparations. They got insurance. They can make it happen their own self. And look, as long as you know that that's one of the messages that's going on, I don't buy lawlessness at all, because I don't think that don't fit in my worldview. I don't believe that God does it. Plus, I think I have an overall worldview now that I'm looking at everything. I'm starting to notice pro-life actually fits all my, is everything is starting to work in my pro-life stances. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Not just abortion. I'm pro-life. That's why I'm Second Amendment.
Yep.
I want you to protect your life.
Right.
So I need you to be armed, right? You know what I'm saying? But I'm also, I love life so much. I don't want the criminal to attack you, because I love his life. Mm-hmm. I love his life. I want him to survive. So stop running up on somebody before you run up on the wrong one. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I'm look, if I want you to go home, so when the popos come up to you, the cops come,
comply,
act right. You know what I'm saying? And at the same time, cops, I need y'all to get y'all, I want y'all to be right too, and not just break bad as well and go off on the handle and not treat people with respect. So my pro-life stance is why I have this position. So look, people, all I'm saying, and we're gonna end this, all I'm saying is don't listen to the very first thing that you hear. Pause, wait, don't get in your feelings early, chill for a second, see if the news still matches what they say. And we didn't even get into like all the different cases that we could have placed right here, but just chill, y'all, and stop listening to everybody.
I got it. Well,
April, it was good rapping with you.
She ready to eat.
I know. That's why I said it's good rapping with you. We had all kinds of problems, y'all, before this, and that's why we apologize.
Hi.
Hello, April.
Hey, you're like in the camera, like you just gonna sit there?
Yeah.
We out.
Okay. Mommy duty call.
I hear you. Love you, girl.
Love you, bro.
Later.
Bye-bye.